Thank you. Have a seat when we're done.
Yeah, we can get up after we're done.
Are you guys on the first one?
You're the first on the.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
Yeah, would you like to convene the meeting?
Oh, we don't have to. I'd like. No one has notified me, but I haven't, sent out any.
Reminders.
Thank you for coming with that.
That's okay. Yeah, I remember you doing that third.
Rebecca's on, she's, please, sovereign. Maybe she changed her. I saw CD.
Did you go to?
Would you like us to share the screen right now or?
We can do a test run, but we might hold off until the meeting convenes.
Snow and then.
So, yeah, give it a shot.
It's dirt. Hopefully, no.
Gives you the options for that.
No, they're very still.
We did a lot of grocery store runs.
Hey, Dahlia.
Yeah.
Yay.
Thank God you're here. We just had my older son's in. Wanted to invite all his friends over.
You too. Did you have a good holiday?
Yeah, she made it back from LA.
Oh, I did.
Orange County.
Orange County, yeah.
Orange County. Hopefully you got some break from the rain.
Yeah. And, could have used some break from the screaming in the back seat, but everything else is okay. It's a long ride. for the
It's a
kids.
long drive, especially with the kids.
Yeah.
I don't.
How old are your kids? How do you feel?
My youngest
Yeah,
daughter is
yeah.
3,
So,
and my daughter's 4,
60,000
and my older son is 5.
I have the official player.
We gotta pack in the back and, it's a lot.
Yeah. Having 2.5-year-olds, that's a lot.
Right, yeah. Like,
I remember when you interviewed this daughter, like, not long before.
Right.
Yeah.
How are they doing?
Find yourself.
Happy little guy.
Yeah, when the important stuff, like everything.
At 2.5 years, it's so cool. Probably walking around.
I am.
It was.
It's like new words every day.
A plasticity of the line, it's a superpower.
What I even shared.
So you started saying like. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
With one of the things I want to find out. When I talk with
Is it
her,
preschool
He's in
yet?
preschool,
he said,
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
no shit. Very cool.
We had a nanny ship in LA too, and then that too. You don't even try to fill in the. He's at the gooder who works right at that.
Oh,
Eventually.
no, the restriction.
Yeah.
And I was never.
Yeah, my daughter went to Literature, which is it's up there by Tuscaloosa Lake. And that was when I was in Montessori school, so I don't know if I remember. And then when my son was ready to go, we decided to change them and go to where the school called El Mundo.
I'm not friends with anyone.
It's in Richmond. And there's another one that's called, I think, Eagleville, which is by Tuscaloosa Park also.
Okay.
But there's other one over by the park station in downtown Richmond. But it's been, their little mileage is sponged up. It's
It's like.
Great. Yeah.
Because.
Yeah, my.
Oh, okay.
That's so amazing. You just lay that foundation and it paid dividends for a lifetime.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, 'cause I remember driving to Reyes and not seeing any house issues.
Hey, Rodney, how are you? It's good to see you in person. Hi, Sarah.
Yeah.
You can sit anywhere you want. This area here is for the board. Excuse me. Yes.
Ryan, that's the. Well, anywhere that's. Because we have to face the camera. So we are gonna start, it's 5 after and we have a forum.
We do. Let's do it.
more?
Hey, Ben.
There we go. All right. Said the magic word.
A full house.
We had to drop our kids off at Olsen.
Oh.
No wonder you talk.
Yeah. Oh.
It's good to see you in person, Ron. Yeah, it's been way too long. You too, Sarah. Where's your bike? Oh, unfortunately, the car intruded. I had to hoof so many materials under this. Yeah.
Yeah, hello, it's been a long time.
That's one.
Good, I guess they're good.
Oh, it's well, when did all this? All right, I know, it's just, you know, it's my sister's birthday, but I always mark the 22nd.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sunshine, okay. I'm gonna call the meeting to order. Hello on the internets. We're live from the Kensington Library. Welcome to the Wednesday, January 3rd, 2024 Kensington Municipal Advisory Council meeting. My name is Lloyd Cowell. I'm the chairman of the board. My extreme right is Ruel Cook. To her left and my right, it's Ben Berry. My left, Adam Wickets, and to his left, it's Dahlia Frieden. So we have a quorum and we can proceed. The next item on the agenda is citizens' comments, which means if you would like to say something that affects the community, but is not related in any way to either of the two agenda items that we're going to consider here in a minute, you're welcome to speak. And I would go ahead. If you have anything to say that's not related to either of the agenda items present. Okay, hearing none. Let's go ahead and take a look at the meeting notes from our last meeting, which was November the 29th. And then immediately I can see that there's an error at the top where the date of October the 25th is incorrect. But in the heading right below that, November the 29th, 2023 is the correct date.
I'm sorry, Mr. Rogers, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you. Hi, Michelle.
Hi, I'm so sorry. I heard you say citizens' comments. I wanted to see if I could just briefly touch on two items that are important to your community.
Yes, that's at the privilege of the chair. And Lloyd, take it away, please.
Oh, please go ahead. We'll come back to the meeting notes in a minute. So
Hi,
go ahead.
Lloyd.
Hi.
Chair and Assistant Chair, thank you so much for allowing me to speak today. I wanted to bring your attention to two items. First of all, the wildfire mitigation program under the direction of Chief Bachman and Con Fire. This program is allows the members of the public and residents within your community to identify fuel mitigation projects to decrease your overall risk to wildfire. Considering you are WUI adjacent or wildland urban interface adjacent, this program is available to the residents of Kensington. I previously presented information at your Kensington Town Hall, and Linda was a fabulous moderator, and I wanted to just reiterate to the citizens of Kensington that the wildfire mitigation program stands ready to help with reducing your fuel load. Considering we've had two seasons, last season and now headed into another wet season, the fuels will be increased in the coming year. And any way that we can keep residents more safe, I would like to make sure that your residents know how to access our program. I'll put the link into the chat box. Second of all, we have a upcoming project. It's called the East Richmond Heights Shaded Fuel Project. I will be happy to send a map of that proposed project. This was designed and parameters were established with the help of Supervisor Joya's office and Chief Burchard of Con Fire. This will utilize a grant to assess and address up to 40 acres along the border between the unincorporated areas that border East Bay Regional Parks. This is a partnership project and there's more information to come on that. But I just wanted to ping those 2 items, and I welcome any questions that you may have, considering the limited information that I've provided today.
Any written materials that you have, if you wouldn't mind, forward them to, I guess, to Robert, and I'll include them with the meeting minutes, and that way they'll go into the record.
I will absolutely do that. Thank you again to the board and to the residents of Kensington for allowing me to speak tonight. And please, if you need to reach me, I am available by email at mrine, M-R-I-N-E, @cccfpd.org. And you can also reach the Wildfire Mitigation Program at cccfpd.org. They will route your request to the appropriate person. And I look forward to assisting your community in any way I can.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody else, citizens' comments? Thank you, back there again. Nope. All right, so moving back to the meeting minutes, meeting notes from November the 29th. Does anybody have any questions or comments other than the fact that the banner date is? All right, with stipulation that I will fix the date on the banner, can we get a motion to approve or deny approval?
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting notes from November 29th.
Second it.
All right, all in favor? Anybody opposed? And then you're absent, so abstaining, so 4-0. Excellent, moving right along. Okay, so we have 2 projects on the agenda tonight for consideration, and we try to consider these in the order that they are received from the county. And the first one is 237 Los Altos Drive, Kensington Development Plan and the Design Review and the variance application. In summary, it's a 514 square foot 2-story addition with it, which would create a 14-foot 8-inch front setback where 20 feet is the required minimum. The gross floor area will increase from 2643 to 3157 square feet, and that exceeds the 2,700 square foot public area. So take it away, 237 Los Altos Drive. Tell us what it's about.
One second. Okay, good evening. So thank you for the opportunity to present our plans to the committee. So my name is Prachi Pandit. This is my husband, Andrew, and our 2 kids are hanging around in the library, Sechal and Sanal. Hopefully they're quiet. It's kind of exciting to them to be here late. So also joining us on Zoom is Veronica Brathard and Yuli Wang, who are from Canyon Design Build. They are the lead and the secondary designer for the project. So we have been residents in Kensington for the last 6.5 years. Andrew previously lived in Berkeley for 20 years. We always anticipated moving back. Once we started the family. So since moving back from the East Bay, our family has grown, and like many, we have also experienced major shifts to working from home, and as a consequence of the pandemic. We also have a multi-generational household with my parents who primarily live in India, spending significant time with us. So this is us. We are at 237 Los Altos Drive. We are at the very end of Grizzly Peak. Since we have moved here, we put in a lot of work to the house. We've redone our yard. We have put in a new roof with solar panels and replaced the HVAC to a more energy efficient heat pump system. So this is the first time we will be doing anything structural to our property. So we're here tonight to seek the committee's recommendations for approval of the plans to update our home to suit our family's evolving needs. Improve the house and the neighborhood fire safety, as well as adequate off-street parking. So
Okay, so this is an aerial view, GIS view of our property. We're the second owners of this house, the original owners who built the house in 1962. We bought it from them, as we said, 6.5 years ago. And it's at the end of Grizzly Peak and Kenyon and Los Altos. And probably many of you are familiar with the old school trail. We're right at that trailhead, basically. So it's a convergence of all of these three streets. And as a consequence, our lot has a really long setback that curves around on the Grizzly Peak side to the side of the house. As you can see in the highlight there. So the side of the house has a pretty long driveway that's corralled on one side by a large retaining wall and fence, and then two really large conifer trees that drop a lot of debris and sap and everything onto the driveway. We currently park one car on this driveway. It's usually actually under a sunshade to prevent all the sap and branches that fall down in these windy storms that we get. So we don't currently have a garage inside of the house. We park one car on the street. It's a busy street because it gets a lot of foot traffic and dog walkers up there. And then we have one car, as I said, in the driveway. This is the schematic from the top of the house showing the driveway. You can see this is the existing basically site plan with the property lines identified. If you look at the schematic inside the current existing upper floor plan, it's basically a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house upstairs. And then downstairs, the prior owners had converted a lot of what wasn't previously living space, including the original garage. You may have seen the garage doors on the outside, converting that all into living space, but relatively poorly usable living space that wasn't permitted. And there's also no bathroom downstairs despite having 2 bedrooms. So you can see also kind of the way this was done involved a lot of narrow hallways with short head clearances and a lot of ducting that was built in below the ceiling floor. So what we would like to do is to improve significantly the usability of that lower space in a way that would allow proper 2 bedrooms to exist down there, a bathroom, full bathroom, an office space to suit our work from home needs, a family room, and then we also want a 2-car garage to get our cars off the road and in a secure space. So this is the green is highlighting the proposed addition where the garage would be, and we're going to accomplish a large part of this by reclaiming part of the existing living space into garage space now. And then in addition, we're going to build out 12.5 feet into that driveway so that we have a proper 20-foot garage inside the house. So some of that living space is being converted back into garage and then some addition out that way. This is the floor plan below, so you can see that additional 12.5 feet of space that would be created. The existing living space that's converted to garage space, and then we're highlighting the guest bedroom. The bedroom downstairs would really be the grandparents' room, as well as the new bath that would be added there. So altogether on that ground floor, that's 254 square feet of space, including the garage space. On the street level, you can see we're just basically adding more living space in our street level, Los Altos level main floor. So it's not going up in any way. And we're also reconfiguring some of the internals so that it's just more suitable to the flow of traffic and safe traffic upstairs and downstairs.
So this is a schematic of the elevation. So the top shows the proposed front elevation looking from Los Altos Drive. The lower is the existing elevation. So basically what you can see here is that we are maintaining that street level. So the roof line will stay the same on the Los Altos side, on either actually. So the green part shows the addition. This is the same view from the side street. So looking from Kenyon, it will look exactly the same, but it'll be pushed out the 12.5 feet. And this is looking from the back, so looking at it from the trail. So this is where you see that it's the two level addition But again, it's maintaining that roof line. And this part that is added is behind where the two large, the pine trees are. So it's not really affecting anybody's view. And we're not adding up to the house. So this is going back to the proposed site plan that we saw earlier. So as you can see, this is a corner lot which has an irregular shape with 3 roads coming together. So the only available space for the addition is to extend the house towards the west side into that existing driveway. This is a really, the lot really narrows to that front setback where it meets the secondary setback from the Grizzly Peak Boulevard. So the proposed addition is highlighted in green, and that triangular area here is what the variance is for. So it's a 20-foot front setback, and the garage that we are adding encroaches into the setback by 5 feet 4 inches. So the proposed corner would be 14 feet 8 inches from the front property line. So the encroachment, which is roughly around 40 square feet area, that's highlighted in the green. So our team also put together a short survey of irregular lots that are in our neighborhood, in the immediate neighborhood. So the nearby irregular lots are shown with the green arrows. Ours is the one labeled in yellow. So this is data pulled from the Contra Costa County GIS maps. So our adjacent neighbor at 241 Los Altos Drive, they have a 10 feet front setback. This lot has a irregular front curving. You can see it in the red highlight. Our neighbors that are across from us, so in front on Los Altos, but diagonally across from us, they also have the building corner is 5 feet from the property line. Similarly, on the other side of us on Kenyon, both the neighbors have a similar short setback from their property line, so 6 feet for the neighbors at 540 Kenyon and 12 feet from the property line for the neighbors at 534. Further along, like down at the corner of Los Altos Drive, there is another house that has a similar shorter front setback. It's just like all of these lots are very irregularly shaped with the street going through it. So this one's moving a little further down. This is on Grizzly Peak Boulevard, similar 8 to 10 feet front setback. So, I mean, but that is basically covers what we wanted to present today with respect to our variance request for our proposed plan. The other, if you want to finish that.
So we also wanted to share that fire safety is a huge priority for us. And we've done a lot of work to improve fire safety at our house over the last 5 years or so, including putting Vulcan vents, in all of our ridge lines and in our eaves, and replacing our roof with a new, fire safe roof. Our current plan is also to replace all the old original wood siding that exists on our house. And so we are really anxious to have, a fire safe house for ourselves and also for our neighbors. Because of the lot's position and grading, we really only have 2 immediate neighbors to our south and to our east. And none of those would really have a meaningful impact to their view or to the sunlight that they have access to. The neighbors across the street are up kind of above us by about 30 feet. The neighbors to our right would not see the addition at all. We've communicated to these neighbors as well as several others in our immediate area, and everyone's expressed support and have not reported any concerns.
Cool.
That we're done.
All right,
Happy to answer any questions.
all right, thanks very much. Does anybody have questions for the presenter? Anybody who's here tonight, care to be heard on the 237 Los Altos?
Well, I have a question. I live close by and I didn't know anything about it until I got that sheet of paper hooked into my front door.
That's what it's for.
Yeah, well, and so what's this?
Okay,
And I still don't really
I mean, it sounds, I mean, just looking at the piece of paper, I was like, oh, it's a big house. The proposal is to make it bigger.
Well, having viewed the presentation, do you have any specific questions about what it is? I mean, it looks like they're not proposing to raise the roof line, just popping the end of the house out slightly.
Well, that's one of the things that when I read the thing, this paper, it said, the only thing I knew, I can tell is just, you know, what's here on this piece of paper, because I didn't know anything about this. 500 and some odd two-story addition. So it's not, okay, that's kind of confusing. When it's a two-story house, what do they mean two-story addition? What does that mean?
Can you back up the slides to the one that shows the proposed elevations? I have sheet 8, 3.3.
Yeah, and I think.
Well, let me go ahead and.
Sure.
do
You
all
wanna
that. I
say
just need you
something? I'd be
to.
happy to.
Yeah.
Right.
Is this the one?
The next, it's forward more again, almost. I may be wrong whether it's forward or back, but it's this sheet 3.3 that shows the
Okay.
existing. Okay, there we go. All right, so
That's from that.
and you can see the roof line under proposed addition is the same. It's considered to be a second story because there's a lower story basement that you can't see from the front of the house, but since the land drops away, as is typical with a lot of Kensington lots, as you drop down to the back, then you have doors and access out the back towards Tilden Park,
Yeah,
right?
it's a sloped lot.
Yeah, you don't see that, you know, yeah, it looks like a single-story house. in the
It
front.
still is gonna look
Mhm.
like a single story house,
It's
it's
still
still
gonna
gonna just be longer.
Yeah.
Is what my understanding.
And
Yeah.
I want to say I appreciate your point because I read that too, and I saw a two-story addition. To me, as a layperson, that sounds like we're jumping up 2 more stories.
Well, yeah.
And I was a little bit concerned about that. I wanted to make sure
So,
we're
I
able to
looked at-
communicate that correctly, that make sure that people understand. We're not.
so basically on the lower level, which is on the slope side, we are proposing to add a garage, and the part that comes up, which is on level with the main house, will get extended.
And the language of the application, the language that goes into the agenda and the notices that are distributed to the neighbors. All of that is generated by the county planning department. It has to follow their guidelines as far as communicating all this stuff, because it goes to a million different people to review. And it's technically a 2-story addition, but it's not 2 stories up above existing. It's
No, okay, that certainly matters. Yeah, I mean, I'm not an architect, I'm not a builder.
Me either.
I'm not a lawyer, I don't know anything about the law, I don't work for the county or any of that. So what I'm reading is like, I'm not sure I understand. It's.
Well, based on now,
What
from
you've seen.
what you've seen now, do you feel that you have a better understanding of the project?
Somewhat better. The pictures don't, you know, one of the things like, when I saw this, it said, well, for additional information, call John Joya's office.
Mhm.
Which I thought, well, that's a good idea, you know, that would answer a lot of my questions right there, just except that nobody answered the phone, so I never got any information there. And so now what do? Well, okay, I pull out my little computer and I see these very small little drawings. I'm not an architect, but if I had some big drawings to look at, that might mean something. But when I look at this little thing with microscopic printing, that, you know, even if my eyes were good, I wouldn't be able to read that microscopic.
Well, that's what this
printing.
is for. But what's your name, by the way, sir?
Dennis.
Dennis. So like, I think the simplest way to explain what I'm understanding, so correct me if I'm wrong, basically, this is the footprint of the house, they're doing that. So it's literally like, this is the house right now, they're doing that,
Just one thing.
just a little bit,
Well,
it's 12.5 feet.
is,
That's the best, that's the decent way, okay.
Yeah.
oh, all right, and the printing, it says it's a variation.
Yeah, the zoning variant.
A zoning variation, so I get, so that. To me, what that would mean is that it. This isn't conforming to the actual code as it is, you need a variance
There's
for
a min-
that code.
Right, there's a minimum setback from the street or the property line, or both, because I think they meet. And because of the unusual nature of the shape of the lot, the application is once to go inside the setback, there was a, you have the one that shows the triangle.
5 feet.
It's 5 feet. There you are.
So
See that green
It's
triangle?
small, I'm sorry, it says 5 feet 6 inches.
because the way that the lot tapers and rounds off at the end, they measure to the street, and it's only, instead of being 20 feet, which is the minimum, the requirement is 14, or the application seeks 14.5 feet as the setback. Although it looks to me like parts of the existing structure are within the setback also, and we've seen other examples in the immediate neighborhood of houses that are within it.
This isn't uncommon, it's quite common to have these setbacks, especially in Kensington. They're just really weird property lines.
In order for us to be able to approve that request for variance, one of the things is that we're not granting special privilege to this property owner that's been denied to others, and that is not out of character with the rest of the neighborhood. And so I guess that's what we're talking about when we are considering the variance, whether they're going to be allowed to, you know, basically add a square or rectangular building addition in a lot that's neither square nor rectangular. You see that.
All right, does that mean that the going different from that 20-foot setback requirement is that corner there?
Yes.
Is that green corner? So
Yes.
you're not talking about the whole set, a lot of stuff, you're talking about that one corner.
Right, that's 40 feet out of the total proposed addition of 512 feet.
40 square feet total. Because it's
Oh,
over
40, 40.
Just that,
Oh,
yeah.
40 square feet.
Yeah.
of-
Yeah.
Of house, okay.
Yeah.
I was saying. Yeah, I don't know what this means, exceeding the 2,700 square foot public.
This has a lot, they have to get permission, they have to seek approval for the addition of that space.
And the size of the home, and it's as a ratio of the total square footage of the lot. That's the GFA, gross floor area ratio. It's more than 2,700 square feet, and then that triggers a public hearing requirement, and that's what so there's actually two ways we're looking at this project tonight. One's the variance reflects because of the setback, and the other one is because of the overall size of the project.
Okay.
Well, all right, well, my question then would be, you know, is it a reasonable size? I mean, you know, Kensington is a community of fairly modest sized homes, you know, you want big houses. You know, Piedmont's got plenty of them, Oakland and out, you know, so there's that.
Fair enough.
And I have one, and the other, and last thing would be. It's in here somewhere. Oh, design compatibility, including bulk size, height, stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah, well, I have a concern about that. Many years ago, when I wasn't living in my house, my mom, it's been in the family for 70 years, so. But many years ago, the next door neighbors, I don't know how this happened, but they managed to get a permit to build a second story addition. And if you were in that area, you identify it right away as the one thing that it's the ugliest looking structure you've ever seen. You know, I have to look at it every day. And
Do you know the
I
date?
don't know how that thing got slipped through. I never knew about it. My mom was elderly. She didn't talk about it, but it's ugly.
I will stipulate that it's the worst building project in the history of the world. But do you know the date of construction? Because it may have predated the existence of this committee, and it may have predated the existence of the law that gives the committee.
Probably. It was in the early 90s, and it was right, and not long after that, Kensington came up with some sort of a deal for, wow, they're not gonna allow monstrosities to be built anymore. Number one, and number two, they came up with a new ordinance. I think it was somebody on Beloit who got that through the county and said, you know, we had a great view and they started growing trees and we don't have a view anymore. I don't like that. So I wouldn't be a bit surprised if that house right next door to me was one of the places that made people go, wow, no, we can't have this kind of thing either.
But Dennis, I want to bring it back to this situation, because I know they have young kids, I want to let them go home.
Yeah.
So in this, do you have any other concerns you want to express that we need to factor into our discussion?
No.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing.
Thanks for coming and talking about it. I think that Kensington would not be the place that it is without the ordinance that we have, because the pressures of living in the Bay Area as far as space and all that stuff are unrelenting and are keenly felt in our neighborhood. Does anybody else want to talk about the 237 Willis Alvarez project? Thank you.
It's not irrelevant to our discussion here, but are you still gonna get to have a fireplace? Maybe.
Oh,
Take it
yeah,
up.
we're taking
Not even
the
gas?
fire.
No.
No, we're not putting in gas.
No.
Oh,
I think the smell of fireplace affects everyone in our neighborhood, being where we are. We don't really use
It's a
it.
concern.
So we'll go ahead and close the meeting and have our discussion. Does anybody have any questions, comments? I look at this diagram and I see a very strangely shaped lot. And if you walk around there, which what I did when I distributed these notices, notice that there's vast acreage of wilderness behind the house and also paved roads where all the three of those streets come together, and it's very wide and it's very large. And so I think that what that does is it kind of diminishes the impact of any project on the site as the neighbors, and then the other thing I wanted to say is that the roof line is not changed, and it's added to the end of the house. And actually, you say 512 square feet, but that actually incorporates reusing part of the existing structure for approximately half of the square footage. So we're actually talking about an additional 280 square feet approximately total. Those are the details. One, we have a chance to go on the record.
I mean, it looks like a great project, and I think you've done a really wonderful job of incorporating safety elements and being thoughtful and considerate of those factors, especially where your house is situated. And I think, no special privilege is being given to this type of strange lot line situation here. So I think it's a wonderful project.
Same. All right, so anybody care to make a motion?
Move to recommend approval of 23-03045 237 Southwest Drive.
I'll second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Thank you very much. Just a reminder that our recommendation for approval is not binding. And if people are concerned with or opposed to your project, they have opportunities to be heard from the County Planning Commission with another layer of appeal after that, and then ultimately the Board of Supervisors. And then, so, good luck.
Thank you.
And,
Thank you.
thank you for your spending all that money to make our neighborhood better.
Thank you.
Okay, now the last item on the agenda this evening relates to, and this is kind of a unique one in my experience, as we are often, or mostly almost always considering building projects, but this is not one of those. This is 155 and 161 Ardmore Road. It's a variance application involving a lot line adjustment, which will result in each lot area to remain unchanged at the 5907 square feet, which is below the 6,000 square foot minimum threshold. There's all of these requests for variance with respect to retaining wall, side yards, and so on, are existing. I was reliably informed by the county that our board needs to consider this because it is a variance application, but there's been a lot of work that's been put into this up till now. So I don't know who wants to speak first, 155 or 161. I'd be interested to know how it starts and what, I guess there was some litigation, which I'm not privy to. And a settlement agreement, which also I have not privy to and have not seen. So tell us what's going on and let's get to it.
Sure.
So
I'm 155 Ardmore. It looks like Miss Shane, who's 161 Ardmore, is not here.
okay.
But is there someone who'd
So
like me
you
to?
folks are related to this particular, okay. Are you representing the neighbors or just your own, your neighbors, but not involved?
Representing the community of Kensington.
What's your position?
There's a path that goes next to 155,
That,
the Ardmore path, and it is used by everyone in this community. And I want to make sure that no decision is going to be made that changes the boundary of that path.
my understanding is that that's not going to happen. It's that the lot line between 155 and 161 is to be adjusted in accordance with something. And
So I don't care about that, I just care about the path.
I love Kensington's paths, and I think it's wonderful that there are people who care enough to go to meetings about it. So
Thanks.
fantastic. So please go ahead.
Should I stand here?
You can stand wherever you like. Just make sure that you can be heard so that the recording will hear your voice and then you won't have to say things.
Sounds good, thank you. Hello, my name is Shiva Niazi and I own the home at 155 Ardmore along with my husband, John Wynn. We have lived in the community since 2008, but I grew up in Berkeley, so I'm basically a local. We, along with Miss Shane at 161 Ardmore, through our surveyor, Mr. Greg St. John, who's present, have applied for the variance that we are discussing tonight. I wanted to communicate some important facts behind this variance application because in speaking to some of our neighbors, I began to realize that there was some confusion about the lot line adjustment application, the variance application, and what this process is about. First thing I want to start off with is that the lot line adjustment or the reconfiguration of the boundary between 155 Ardmore and 161 Ardmore is the result of a multi-year negotiation and a binding contract that was signed between Ms. Shane and ourselves. We are now in the process of executing a settlement agreement through the county process. The location of the line is therefore not really the subject of this meeting. The lot line adjustment application goes through a separate process in which the county staff determines whether the new line meets the county's criteria. What is being discussed tonight is the variance application. The two homes were both built in the 1920s when many of the county codes had not been written. The current code is that the lots should be at least 6,000 square feet and have a 5-foot setback, which means that any building should be at least 5 feet from the boundary line. The reality is that Ms. Shane's garage and our home are less than 5 feet apart. It's a very narrow path between our homes, and therefore no line between our lots would have satisfied that requirement. In fact, none of the county requirements in question could have been met by any agreed location of the boundary between our two lots. An important consideration for the neighborhood is that the location of the boundary line between the two properties, as well as the variances, impact no other lots in the neighborhood. And I have an email from Ms. Sid Sotude, the county planner, who has been assigned to this permit, that basically outlines that, which I'm going to just quickly refer to. She sent me this email on December 21st because I wanted to have the county's language around this. It says the proposed configuration of one boundary lot line between the two tax parcels only pertains to those two parcels. The lot line adjustment is not modifying or changing the location of the outer boundaries of either tax parcel. There is no evidence of previously approved lot line adjustments affecting nearby properties in the county. Thus, the requested lot line adjustment won't affect other properties, and I'm sure that includes the path. In addition, the variance application only pertains to the two subject properties. There is no reason the variances that would allow the lot line adjustment would impact nearby properties, as there is no construction/development proposed. So that was her email. As part of this process, because there was so much confusion in the neighborhood and frankly some misinformation that was going around, we have gotten several signatures from neighbors in the area, about 20, that support the variance, which I have with me. And I want to thank Kay Reed and Andrew for who reached out to many people in Coventry for their signatures and their support for us in this process. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them, or I will defer to Mr. St. John, our surveyor, who is here as well. Thank you for listening to our.
Yeah, and I have to say that I did speak to Sid. Sidote, or how do you pronounce her name?
I think it's Sedote, yes.
I only know her from email, and I think I spoke on the phone with her once. But the fact that there are existing structures, retaining wall, and what was the garage itself, right? It looks like that on the drawing. Those are existing structures that if the lot line is adjusted, then that triggers the requirement for consideration of variance. And if either of those structures are, upgraded or replaced or anything like that, then another variance request would have to go through, and we might see this particular project in advance. If there were no setback issues with the lot line adjustment, I don't think that we would be seeing this application at all, essentially. So that's my 2 cents. It does relate to your application, and it's part of my own sort of investigation into what's. All right, anything else for us?
No.
Anybody have questions for our presenter? Yeah, all right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody who's in attendance tonight wish to be heard, questions, comments? Outraged? This shaking? No?
So Ardmore Path is not affected.
Yeah, it's on the north side
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
thing, and man, that's supposed to go.
Better the paths, because the paths have no tons.
They're
Thank
very,
you for coming tonight to the.
very important part of being able to walk around this town. All right, so no outside comments. Does anybody, anybody? All right, so let's go ahead and close. Have our little internal discussion and internal discussion, and then decide what we're gonna do. I'm not gonna be this.
I don't see any reason why we need to meddle with this one. This is, they've gone through their process, everything's staying the same. The management of their neighborhood isn't there. Exactly, there's nothing for us to disagree with here.
I'll make a motion
Right.
to recommend for approval the variance application for 23-01054 155 161 Ardmore Road.
Second.
All those in favor?
Um,
Any opposed? Seeing none, all right, recommendation will be made to the county to approve the variance request. Oh, well, you know.
We're all taking your.
With the process and hope everybody finds a way to be happy. And that brings us to the end. Right on. Time to think.
7:51.
7:51.
So can I just say, do my public comment over, you know?
Sure, if you want to go on the record now, or otherwise we'll
I just
adjourn
want
and we
to
can
talk to you
talk.
guys. I sat on KMAC for 9 years,
Okay.
K-Reed, and so I've been in your shoes. Thank you so much for your service. And my husband was part of the team that worked with John Joya and Jim Carmen to craft the small lot ordinance for height, size, location, design. Kensington overlay, and it was actually a house down on the 600 block of Covent Street that was built on a small lot with a 12-foot high crawl space that then liberated multiple people to view of the bay. Right. So what's really wonderful is to see you guys are still whole. When it was done, it was like, we're just gonna still keep going into the future, and so thank you for, keeping it going, so.
I was grumpy coming up here. I thought, I don't want to come up here, but having seen you guys taking the ordinance, and living with it and helping to retain value, balance of equity for all Kensingtonians is really hard,
So thank you.
Thank you so much.
So, well, thanks for saying thanks. I've worked this job for 6 years now, and I think that the weight of the existence of the ordinance has done wonders to influence the design community so that they are cognizant of things that the neighbors might be might be concerned about, and that other neighbors actually have some legal authority to to weigh in on it and say this is not right or this is great. That I think that's really important.
Exactly, and it was a shock. We had our own issue. And we brought 60 people to the planning commission on our issue because neighbors were flabbergasted that neighbors could not speak to views, light, and privacy in the law. And so now you have the ability to consider those things.
Yeah, we've seen even tonight, someone who had sort of a bad experience with a neighbor who, without any kind of restraint, went ahead and did the thing, and so that's unfortunate.
Can I ask you a different question?
Sure.
Totally new subject. Not coming to these meetings now for years, needing to sort of cleanse after too many years of participation. What is going on? What do you know about this tree ordinance? I've been hearing things. Has anything happened? Do you guys have a role?
We were approached, and there's one of the meetings from last year that's I think is on video. There was a presentation, and the question basically was: does KMAC think that they would be a good place for these things to be heard? And that right now it's either you mutually agree to mediation or you go to court and litigate over trees, and that seems rather inefficient and kind of expensive way to resolve these conflicts. But as far as I know, the ordinance has not been enacted, right, and it's not enforced, so it's in the discussion stage at the county level.
But everything still is.
Yeah,
It
as far
has
as I
to
know.
go.
I can't speak to it like day to day. I'm just saying that we've not been notified that anything has happened.
I can say a quick word about that. Thank you very much. I'm Robert Rogers. I'm here on behalf of County Supervisor Julia. We're working with our working group on the tree ordinance. We did a lot of work on that last year. The most recent iteration of the ordinance is on the website. It has the red marks where all the new additions have been made.
That was up a year ago,
Okay,
but it hasn't changed.
no. And so the overall idea is after long consultation with all of our county council, we do believe that there is gonna be no way in which there's gonna be any state law is going to permit anyone to say that trees that are growing on adjacent properties have to be cut down and trimmed to respect the views of others in adjacent properties. So absent,
after 1984.
yes, so absent of that, what we want to do is create sort of a mitigation board where people can come together and, hopefully come up with an equitable solution, but
That's
not
compulsory though. That sounds like.
well, we are under the impression, based on all of our legal counsel and state law precedent, that there is no way in which we can pass a law that will require anyone to do anything to their tree just to protect the view of another property owner, whether they're adjacent or far away.
What explains the case law that we
All right, hang on, before
That
we
would
get
be,
to that point.
if I may, that
Let's,
would
I
be a
wanna,
great.
it's a great point, but I wanna call adjournment so that we can have this discussion, and if people wanna hang out, that's fine, if they don't wanna hang out, that's also fine. So I move that we adjourn, does anybody second? Okay, right, so all in favor? All right, we are officially adjourned, but no, please, you got a question on case law.